Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of The Penguin, a great series premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So apparently it's been 1 week since the events of The Batman. I also want to preface this. I've not seen The Batman since it was originally in theater, so it's been over 2 years since I've seen it, so if my memory's a little foggy on some details, do forgive me. But obviously, we're seeing, right, there's this power vacuum now that Falcone is dead, and now it's time for who's going to jump at the opportunity. Why not the biggest weasel of them all, Oz? Which, I'm not well versed in every version of the Penguin. I'm probably the one I'm probably the most familiar with. It's probably the one from Gotham, the TV show Gotham. But it's like, I feel like, I don't know if the Penguin is always depicted as so weaselly as Colin Farrell's version of the character is very weaselly, and I feel like God, what was it? Robin Lord Taylor, or is it Robin Taylor Lord, the actor who played him in Gotham? He had that. Oswald was very weaselly in a lot of regards, so I don't know if Oswald typically is weaselly in most depictions, and I guess once again depends on who's writing it and what era of the comics are talking about and stuff like that in the adaptation, but definitely very weaselly in this. I remember him being weaselly in the Batman, but I think because we have even more time with him, we get to see how much more weaselly he can be and how he can get. But once again, man taking every opportunity he can, goes back to the club, get some files so he can blackmail some people because it's oh, this is the perfect opportunity. And then Alberto showed up. It's yo, what are you doing? He was like, hey, I was coming here. Hey, you saved me the trip. I was going to bring these jewels to you because these are rightfully yours. You're the boss now. I was like, oh, look at you, you silver-tongued bastard. Oh, you're so quick. You're so quick. The weaseliness, it's just ooh, it just oozes off of him, and I love it so much how quick he is. He is a fast talker. I love that about that character. And he's able to kind of sway things to be like, no, boss, I'm in this to be, I got your back, I get it, this is your rodeo, I'm just here to serve the family like I always have been, that's the only role I have. But obviously Oswald has bigger aspirations, which I think is so interesting that Alberto was talking about his big aspirations, but the moment Oswald talks about his, he starts laughing. Because I guess it's it's the difference of who we are. I am a Falcone. You are nothing but a thug. I know what you are. You slimy, you think you're this, you try to swing above your station. You think you're a big dog, you're a small fish in this big pond, So, and you're up here thinking, what you gonna do? Make a name for yourself? And it's I see you for who you are and what you are, but you're not that, Oswald. You never will be. And he's laughing at him, especially because Oswald had told that story of a gangster he knew when he was a kid, and his gangster would look after people, and then hey, drop dead in the streets, cigar in his hand, and the next day people through a parade, they celebrated him. And Oswald wants that. He wants the attention. He wants to be celebrated. He wants a legacy of his own. He doesn't want to just be that thug that works for somebody. It's no, I want to make a name for myself. And that's when Alberto laughed in his face, and then Oswald plugged him. And even then, I love that he's kind of feeling himself for a second, and then finally, just leading into the title card, just being fuck, what did I just do? Damn it, that was stupid. And it's yeah, because Oswald, he talked all this shit about Gordon and Bruce or Batman getting the Riddler's thing wrong, but it's yeah, he can, he's very hot-headed, he's very insecure, and having someone laugh at him, it's oh, you're laughing at me, we're gonna see who has the last laugh, ha ha. Oh shit, I just killed the head of the Falcones, and now he's got to cover it up. I love that he was about to carry the body downstairs. He's almost looking at himself what the fuck am I doing? And just tosses the body. Why am I being careful? Just why am I lugging it? Just toss it down. So that's the problem with a crime like that, or spur of the moment, because you didn't plan it out. All the conditions are fucked, because the moment you go outside, hey, some kids are trying to rob your car, so you shoot at them, and one of them unfortunately happens to be Vic, and now he's stuck being your helper, and now it's and I love Oswald's conversations with him. It's he's because Vic seems like he naturally has a stutter, and And then he's like, oh, Jesus, come on, kid, put it together, get yourself together. It's like, oh, the kid already had to stutter, and now you're scaring the shit out of him even more. Like, of course he's going to be, like, stumbling on his words. But it's like, cool, help me get rid of this body. Which immediately you're like, yeah, but you're kind of a loose end now. So he's like, oh, why don't I get some extra labor out of you before I kill you? I was like, I was kind of catching those vibes early on, but I wasn't sure, like, where Oswald was going. That seemed like the clearest answer, and ultimately it seems like that's what Oswald was going to do. But I'm like, I wasn't sure. Especially because it's like, I guess you want to keep the illusion alive that you're going to keep this person alive. Because, like, the casual conversation he has with the kid being like, hey, so this and that, like, he's so casual. I'm like, you're so sociopathic. Like, the fact is you're so casually talking to him about, like, yeah, you're threatening his life and everything. And, just having, like, the most, I don't even remember the details on what they were saying, but it was just like, it just blew me away how Oswald was just so calm and talking to him. Like, yeah, you're threatening his life if he doesn't help you. So he stopped by to get a alibi with Eve. Then they immediately went to kind of start burning some stuff. I don't know, like, what it was that was in those bags. I guess those were the clothes Oswald was wearing at the time that needed to be burnt. And it's like they stopped for a burger and stuff. Oh yeah, I remember now. Like he was asking him, was like, "Oh, have you ever been to that place?" Buddies, hey, buddies, yeah, mixing the slushies and stuff. He's like, "No, you got to try it next time." I'm like, dude, Oswald is crazy as hell. And then afterwards, they went to, I think later is when they went to the junkyard and they're going to get rid of the body. And I love, he's like, oh, so go ahead and turn around and just look at the sunset. He knew what time it was. Vic was like, no, come on, you don't have to do this. I can help you. He's like, well, what are you really going to do? It's like, come on, like, whatever you need me to do, I can help you. It's nice to have someone on your side. And I'm obviously when Oswald looks at Vic, he sees a lot of himself of like, right, we're from that lower part of Gotham. I mean, as they even talked about in the opening, it's like, only a certain section of Gotham got hit by, like, the flooding. And it's the poorer neighborhoods. The richer neighborhoods in Gotham are perfectly fine, which you're like, that massive disparity between the rich and poor is always a massive thing in Gotham. And that divide has gotten even more clear. I mean, it was already pretty clear before, but it's extra clear now considering the state that part of the city is in, you know? But like I said, I think Oswald sees so much of himself in Vic that it's like, I kind of want to give you a chance. But there's still some part of me in the back of my head, like, either Vic is going to overstep and try and pull an Oswald and tries to go above his station, swing outside of his weight class, and Oswald's going to have no choice to kill him. But I also feel like, just like, I'm just waiting because I'm like, I have that feeling in the pit of my stomach. I know nothing. I've avoided a lot of trailers. From what I can remember, the trailer, I have seen the official trailer like maybe once or twice. I think it's mainly stuff from this episode, but there's some stuff from later in the season sprinkled in too. But it's mainly from like this episode that I remember some of the stuff from the trailer. But I just get this gut feeling like, I mean, Oswald is a self-preservationist, so he will screw over whoever he needs to. That's a recurring theme in this. So it's like, you know, that's this whole I think there was a conversation that that Alberto had with him of like, okay, you're never going to change because I know who you are. You know, a person like you doesn't really change. He even says like, yeah, you robbed Dad, which Dad was perfectly fine with it because you never took too much off the top. You know, you took enough that Dad never really gave too much of a care. Like, you know, that's who you are. That's the kind of person you are. So he is someone who doesn't change. So I could definitely see that being a thing of probably by the finale, he's going to screw over Vic and like use Vic as a sacrificial lamb. When he's supposed to have Vic's back, he probably won't. But it could also be like, hey, Vic might have screwed him over first because it is, you know, this gangster world. Allegiances are constantly changing. And it's like, oh, well, we should be loyal to each other. But loyalty will only get you so far because at the end of the day, the only person you can be loyal to, the only person you can fully and undoubtedly trust is yourself. So I'm just kind of throwing that out here in the first episode. Like, Vic is going to die by the end of this. If he manages to survive, yeah. But I'm also like, I want my boy Renzi to survive. If you don't, like, the thing I'm best known for is playing Alex in Marvel's The Runaways on Hulu. So, like, I kind of want the best for him. You know, I was so excited when I saw him in the trailer. I was like, oh, that's so dope. So, just once again, always interesting. I mean, I guess he's kind of in the same. Cause I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh yeah, Colin Farrell, Bullseye. So I was like, oh, another person who was Marvel went over to DC. It's kind of funny too, because like Clancy Brown was obviously DC being voicing Lex Luthor, but he was also in, I want to say it was Daredevil season 2, because I know it was something. I don't think it was Punisher season 1. I'm pretty sure it was Daredevil season 2, because I knew it had something to do with Punisher. So he's been on the Marvel side, and now he's back here on the DC side of things. Just once again, always interesting how that. Wasn't he in something else DC related recently that I was thinking about? I feel like he was, and I just can't remember what it was. I'm going on a massive tangent, so I do apologize. Either way, I just want Vic to survive, but I just get this inkling and feeling like he won't. But we'll see what that ends up being the case. And like I said, that's just a theory I'm throwing out there early on. I just feel like that character is long for this world in regards of the length of this series, but not long in regards of, yeah, he's not going to make it out of this. Despite Oswald seeing so much of himself in a kid, but it's just like, nah, like if it's me or you, I'm always going to pick me type of thing. So either way, he gets called in. Well, we actually also got a little introduction to Oswald's operation, the drops and stuff like that. They were able to fish some of the product out of the water. Some of it's kind of contaminated. It's like, who cares? The addicts aren't going to really care too much about it. Like, let's put the product back out there. But he goes to meet some of the people from the family, and they're telling him to shut down the operation because it's like, which I was like, oh yeah, I was like, had Michael Kelly, because he's a part of the Falcone operation. I was like, wasn't he in something DC related? And it's like, oh yeah, because he was one of the people from the Daily Planet in the DCEU. I was like, oh yeah, interesting. Whatever the case may be. Which once again, Oswald, quick on his feet. They're like, yo, shut down this operation. You got 48 hours. Well, they told him that after he tried to pitch Alberto's pitch of like, I got a big, I don't know what's going to go down, but you know, I need you to like give me some time. I can make a lot of money. I've always been good at giving money. And then Sophia shows up, and I love Christine Milioti, just like the unhinged energy that character has. Because I'm not well versed in Sophia. The only version of the character I'm familiar with, it's like when Crystal Reed played her in Gotham, which that character was definitely unhinged in that show too. So I'm like, I guess she typically isn't, like, once again, this is like only the second time I've ever seen this character off the top of my head. So yeah, so I guess that character's just naturally unhinged in the comics, but like Christine Milioti like adds this extra layer of just like, that character's just like, even her smile is so creepy where you're just like, it's just kind of like, there's like I don't know, she's able to kind of like make you feel so on edge. Like you feel how like Oswald feels, because like, you know, she's kind of not all there. It's like, oh, weren't you in? She's like, oh, Arkham? Yeah, I got out. You know, I'm you know, I'm recovered. I'm good now. And you're like, huh? You know, as anyone's familiar with Arkham, you're like, no, I doubt I'm not well versed in the Batman and Gotham lore. I just don't think I've ever known any characters that have gone into Arkham and come out sane and okay. People go in there and get worse. You know, you might get Harley Quinn or something like that, you know? So I mean, saying on that, I mean, I even love those lines later on when she talked about the fact is that she's like, she lost parts of herself because when she got locked up, she's like, they strip you bare in Arkham and they treat you like a thing. And she kind of felt like she lost herself. She's like, the last shreds of humanity that I was a person. I was just a thing in Arkham. But the only person who gave me light, who made me feel, reminded me, tried to keep me being a person was my brother. He would see me every week. You know, so yeah, and the moment her brother went missing, it's like, oh, he's kind of like the one thing that kind of kept her grounded. And now that he's kind of going missing and she's asking questions, I think it speaks volumes the moment she steps in like, yo, Oswald, have you seen my brother? It's like, why would you immediately jump to me? Why not anyone else? But then we find out when they have dinner together, she's like, actually, that pitch you gave was my brother's. I was like, oh my God, Oswald. And once again, quick on his feet. Oh, yeah, your brother's lying to both of us. He brought me in on this operation. I had no idea you were involved, but obviously he didn't tell you I was involved. Oh, my God, I can't. Oh, Alberto, right? Am I right? It's just like, dude, you're so good at being slimy and just like, once again, just quick on the draw. It's like, yeah, when you are that much of a weasel, you need to be able to think quickly on your feet, because that's how you survive. And I'm sure that's how Oswald's always gotten by. But just like, you know, his silver tongue, his mouth has always ended up saving him, you know. So what I also thought was interesting too, like some of the dialogue when they were having dinner kind of implies like Oswald is the reason why she went to Arkham. Because she's like, oh yeah, you know what people call me, what, the hangman? You know, as like a serial killer or something. It's like, I guess we'll eventually... Because I saw in the trailer, we do see some scenes of her when she was in Arkham. So we'll probably get more backstory to what that's all about. But she makes it sound like her dad kind of sold her out because Oswald sold her out. She's kind of like, no, it's okay. My dad kind of put you in a hard place, but it's like, oh, he's dead now, so it's kind of all okay. But she's also says that thing to Oswald. She's like, oh, everyone always underestimates you, but she's like, I don't. I kind of see you for who you are, Oswald, and what you're capable of. And just like, you know, keeps him on edge. So he's like, cool, she kind of knows, and even if she doesn't know now, she will eventually. So I love the train rides to the car that would eventually they drive to get to his mom's place, and his mom's not all there. She has to take her meds, but she hadn't been taking them, and she kind of talks like the rest of her sons are still alive, which I'm like, does Oswald, I mean, the depictions I've seen of Oswald have always, I kind of do slip my mind of like, I haven't seen Batman, what was it, Batman 89 in so long. Or was it Returns? No, Returns is where Danny DeVito's the Penguin. I haven't seen that in so long, so I can't always pull from that. But at least I remember enough of Gotham to like have that, like, you know, that's a pop culture thing I can like pull from adaptation-wise. But it's been so long since I've seen Batman Returns, so I can't really pull from that Oswald. But my point is like, oh, I don't know if he typically ends up having any... I was like, oh, him having siblings. But granted, when you see the pictures, it's just an older him with his mom and not his two, like, siblings. So it's like, oh, they must have died. But she was kind of talking like, oh, yeah, like, the boys were in the bath. And it's kind of like, oh, like, she still thinks her other children are still alive. And Oswald's trying to, like, you know, be like, oh, we're going to go on vacation. But his mom sees through the BS. It's like, what's up? What did you do? And I love him just confessing, like, I killed Alberto. And it's like, why did you do it? He's like, because he was laughing at me. And she's like, okay. She's like, you did that. That wasn't you doing that because you were angry. She's like, that was instinctual. You knew, like, you needed to do that. And it's like, and the entire time being like, oh, you're going to run away? You know, what, are you a pussy boy? I was like, Jesus. But it's like, oh, some tough love situation of like, right, fight for whatever you want, everything you need. You're so close. You fought tooth and nail to get to where you are. You need to fight tooth and nail to keep and going and aim for what you want. That's my baby boy. You know, you're not some pussy boy. You're my, like, big, strong bull son, you know. And also Vic has kind of become mandated to be like her pseudo nurse, so they're not running anymore, but I guess Vic is sometimes going to be sent over there to look after her, because he's like, well, Sophia might come after me, which she does, and that's after he already went to the prison to talk to Sal Maroni. I didn't realize that's who Clancy Brown was playing. I knew he was in this. I didn't know he was playing Sal Maroni. Because, like, obviously by the time the Batman happened, Maroni was all... Hadn't Maroni been in jail for a hot minute in this continuity? I think so. I don't think he was... Maybe, like I said, I haven't seen the movie since 2022, and I've only seen it the one time. I don't remember if he was, like, if he had been in jail for a couple years by the time the Batman happened, or whether he got arrested, like, a little before the movie. I can't remember. Obviously, Oz is only out for himself, so he's trying to say, like, hey, Mulroney's like, this is the time we can take down the Falcons. Let's work together. I could be your double agent. But Sal's like, I want nothing to do with you. You have fucked us over in the past anytime we've kind of worked with you, so why would I take that chance? And then has the ring that they took off of Alberto, because it was something that Carmine had, because it was something that they took from Sal. It's actually his ring, but Carmine wore it as kind of a trophy, and then Alberto did the same thing. And now it's like, cool, got you your ring back. I was like, oh, is that supposed to just show your loyalty? But then you're like, right, he concocted a plan with Vic, and kind of perfect timing too, because he knew it was only a matter of time before the wall started closing in. Because the moment he tries to go back, he sees, oh shit, Sophia is waiting outside my place with a whole bunch of people, and it's like, cool. I mean, I'm assuming that was his place or some place connected to him, and he immediately takes off after she spots the car, because it sucks. I mean, that's what you get for having a standout car, because she took note of, ooh, don't see too many purple cars, which he made a point of, well, it's Plum. So they chase after him. I love that whole sequence, especially when he like ends up ducking in a trunk. I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. And then gets out, but before he can take off, he gets attacked. That whole sequence, you stab the guy in the face, he walks out in the street, you're trying to shoot him, but then he gets hit by a bus. Not just any bus, a school bus. So all those poor kids getting traumatized, but it's like, and Oswald waving to him before getting knocked out. So also, you know, because it's in my mind because they strip him naked, we also saw his foot. That shit was wild. I wasn't expecting them to kind of showcase that. I didn't think it would be I don't think that happened in the movie. I guess like the way his toes are, I'm like, was that something for the movie, or is that just kind of like maybe a birth, you know, like a birth defect or something like that, or maybe that's something that happened later on in life? Because isn't that typically how that happens for Oswald? It isn't like a birth thing. It usually is something that just happens later on in life. Like I said, maybe it happened in the Batman, and I just don't remember. Going very classic mob gangster. Sophia is when she's having him just stripped naked sitting in a chair, and once again it's just she knew something was wrong, and she's like, okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity now. You know, you're always talking, you're always able to talk your way out of things, but I need you to tell me, is my brother alive? Has like the wire like underneath his arm, like you're about to just like literally like almost use a garrote to like cut his arm off. But then Vic made his move, and the moment the car shows up, I was like, oh my god, that's why you gave Sal the ring, isn't it? And I was like, yep, they're gonna frame it like the Maronis are the reason that Alberto's killed. And yep, left the body in the back, wrote payback on top of the trunk. So, and Oswald's tied up, and knowing all of this went according to plan, smiles, and it's like they had no choice to let him go, because it's like, yeah, you thought it was me, because like she ended up finding one of the kids, because it's like, yeah, because you made, you know, because I'm all over the place. I do apologize. I'll be better about this next episode, but I love that because Oswald tried to say like, hey, let's go down to that place, my place, and we'll see if there's any evidence your brother was there. He was saying all that hoping that she wouldn't actually go, but she ended up going. It's the thing of you overplayed your hand, and she saw you trying to play her, so she's like, all right, I'll go. And because of that, you scared off a whole bunch of kids. You got one of them under your thumb, Vic, but there was a few that scattered, and they saw your face, and they knew you were in the area around the time her brother disappeared. So, and he's like, yo, like, come on, Sophie, you can't listen to that kid. He doesn't know me. I don't know him. And then she blew his brains out. She's like, see, is that what you wanted me to do? You knew that you could do that. You could take advantage of me to like kill someone. It's like, that's what you always do. You do whatever it takes, self-preservation, even if it costs someone their life, which it always does. And it's like, you manipulated me knowing that I would do that. And it's like, yeah, but you still went along with it. So I think speaks volumes of like, you knew you were being manipulated, but you still pulled the trigger. So once again, showing you're very unhinged. So I love the whole thing. We end up finding out that Vic was supposed to cut off the head, but like he left the body intact, and he just cut off the pinky and stuff, but he just couldn't do it because he was like, yeah, I was thinking about it, but like, which direction do I go? Do I start at the neck? Like, do I start from the front? Do I start through the back? And he couldn't do it, so he left the body intact. So, And he's kind of like, yeah, Sal has no choice but to accept it now and be like, well, because it'll make the Maronis come out stronger. Because are you going to deny it? Be like, oh, I had nothing to do with it. Granted, he didn't want a gang war. Nobody really wanted a gang war. But Oswald started once before, and obviously he's playing both sides because the only angle he's coming at this from is for himself. He's kind of pitting both sides against each other. And once the dust is clear, he'll be the only one standing. He's got that very much that Walter White and Marty Byrde type of energy of, how, Breaking Bad and Ozark energy of how the hell are you going to get out of this, and you managed to do it now, but you always find a way to kind of squirrel and weasel your way out of a situation. So let's see your continued efforts as we go deeper down this game, because he even says, there's kind of no, half-assing it going forward. We got to go, it's all in. We got to make moves, because, no trying to play softball here. We're going in to make this all happen. It's do or die type of situation. So I'm very excited to see where the rest of the season ends up taking us, how this ultimately ends up playing out as as this war will undoubtedly get started. But the thing is, Sophia's probably consumed by grief right now about everything, because it's one thing being like, did something happen to my brother? Is he still alive? Now knowing he's dead, you're probably going to see red, and you're not going to pay as much attention to Oswald as you should, even though you were right on the trail. But it's you're probably blinded by rage now, and you're there's probably going to be some suspicion towards Oswald, but all your focus, because other people are going to be oh, it's got to be the Maronis. She'll probably still be suspicious of Oz, but he'll probably point Sal having the ring, I don't know if he'd bother admitting that he got it from Oswald, because it's that won't do you any good. He even said Sal would take the win, because it's it puts the Maronis back on top, because it's oh my God, they killed Alberto. That was a big, that's some big dick energy move, so they're not going to not jump on that opportunity. So he's Sal's not going to say anything, but you never know how that's going to play out. I should also note there will not be a new episode next Thursday. The next episode will be next Sunday. Not this Sunday, the Sunday that is 9 days from now, and it will be airing on Sundays going forward. I don't know why HBO decided to do that. It is what it is. So just kind of keeping that in mind. There is not going to be an episode next Thursday. It will be one that following Sunday, and it will be on subsequent Sundays going forward. At least that's my understanding. A lot less things have kind of changed in that time frame, but that's been my understanding. So do keep that in mind. But like I said, excited to see where all this takes us going forward. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.